What's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about super single tires versus dual tires and a little bit of tire maintenance, so stick around. Yesterday, the reason there was no vlog yesterday is because the video that I really want to do is about super single tires and air pressure, which is what this video is now about. But yesterday I was in the middle of shooting and rolled up to the fuel island and they had their air off. I'm like, man, come on, man. Because I started trying to put air in one of my steers, and when I looked at it, I had dropped 10 PSI, and I'm like, oh, come on. So we're gonna make our way up to the TA in Walton and pray that they've got some air somewhere that I can get into. If not, I'm gonna have to pay this stupid shop to put air in my tires. Now we need to make a quick run to Walmart. Walmart run complete. So now we're gonna make our way towards Indianapolis. Our next run is out of Indianapolis tonight. So we need to get over there and get a little bit closer for that run tonight. So let's go do that. We made it up. We're kind of close to Indianapolis. We're within about an hour of our pickup, so no big deal. But let's talk about this super singles versus duals. And back originally when super single tires came out, yeah, they were pretty trashy. They just didn't really work very well. They had a propensity to build these huge bubbles. Don't really know where that comes from. Let's just call them trashy, and it just didn't work very well. And they would leave a lot of guys stranded on the side of the road. You know, it was a really bad deal. But when you look back in history, anything that's brand new technology that comes out, well, it doesn't work very well at first. You know, they have to get all the kinks worked out. A prime example of that is the new Cummins X15 motor. You know, look how well it's doing even with the DPF system on it versus like Caterpillar. The DPF system put Caterpillar out of the trucking game. So you have to keep that in mind when dealing with new technology, and just understand that it's not going to be as good when it first comes out, and it will actually wind up getting better. So the major differences in, you know, or let's say one of the benefits to having super singles versus duals is that the super singles are more rolling resistant. And what that means is basically the friction between the tire and the road, there's less of it with the super single. So that's going to be one way that it's going to increase fuel mileage. The second way that it's going to increase fuel mileage is it's going to be it's lighter weight. Now, we're not talking about a ton of weight, but every pound counts. And when you add these two things together, minimally you're going to get 0.1 miles to the gallon better over the course of a year. Now, 0.1 doesn't sound like a lot, but do the math. I've already done it for you. 0.1 miles to the gallon better on a 120,000 mile year at $3 per gallon is going to save you about 725 bucks. Now, I've heard that the super singles will save you up to 0.2 miles per gallon. Well, now you're starting to talk about some real money. You're starting to talk about almost $1,500 a year. So if you buy high-end tires, like I drive Michelin X-Line Energy Ds, they're the most rolling resistant, and they're some of the best tires out there, period. Whether you're talking about super singles or duals. You're talking about, after a national discount, of course, I spent about $4 grand on, you know, my set back there. But if you're talking savings between 725 bucks and $1,500, let's just call it an even $1,000. Well, these high-end tires are going to last me more than 4 years. Okay, so what's 1,000 times 4? 4,000. They pay for themselves. So that's, you know, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to run super singles, and there's definitely a bunch of reasons why you want to run a better tire than a cheap tire. A cheap tire is going to cost you more in the end than just ponying up and buying the better tires. Now, when dealing with tires, you want to give yourself the least chance of blowing out. And so that means you need to inspect your tires. You need to inspect it for wear, which means you need to keep them aligned, you need to keep them balanced, rotate them. I need to rotate my tires because I have a tag axle. And if you take care of these things, the tires are going to take care of you. And then one of the best things that you can do is check your tire pressure regularly. And that means once a week. If you keep your tires aired up at the same level that should help them to wear more evenly, and that's going to maximize the fuel savings that you're going to get from the tires. And also, keeping them at the proper level is going to keep them from exploding. So, proper tire maintenance is going to help you keep from blowing out a tire, which is probably the biggest argument that a person has for wanting to run duals versus wanting to run super singles. Yeah, if you blow a super single, you're stuck on the side of the road. But if you talk to a driver that has super singles on their truck and has ran them for any amount of time, they're going to tell you how much they love them. And they're also going to tell you that they really haven't blown out on them. You know, I think that that's just kind of, you know, that's kind of hearsay. That's one of those things that it's so, you know, yeah, it's a scary proposition, but it's one of those things that just really doesn't happen very often. You know, so if you really take care of the tires are going to take care of you. Now, one of the biggest, you know, or one of the drawbacks I would say is the tire does have, it's less rolling, or it's more rolling resistant. I keep getting them confused. It's more rolling resistant, which means that it has less traction, which means in an off-road type application, if you're out in the oil fields, you know, or if you are a flatbedder that's delivering to a lot of job sites, well, super singles may not be the best for you. Now, I didn't have huge issue with this last year, and I delivered to quite a few job sites, but I did get stuck at one. However, I think that that was a bit irrelevant. I don't think it would have mattered what kind of tire I had, because what I was dealing with, I was down in Florida and it was very sandy, and I just knew that I was going to get buried. Matter of fact, whenever I talked to the guy that pulled me out, he said, "Don't worry about it. Everybody gets stuck over here." Well, you'd think you'd probably fix that if everybody's doing it. But anyway, so super singles versus duals. Yeah, it's possible you could get stuck on the side of the road with a blown tire, versus if you had duals, you could limp them in. But if you have a violent blowout with duals, chances are you're going to blow them both out. Now, that's not to say that that's going to happen to everybody, but it's possible. So I don't really consider that a valid concern as far as not wanting to drive them, but I mean, it's a legitimate concern, you could say. But it's one of those things, if you take care of the tires will take care of you. Just like if you take care of the truck's going to take care of you. So don't let that be a determining factor in whether or not you want to run super singles versus duals. Like I said, if you're out in the oil fields, or if you're going to a lot of job sites, then yeah, you probably don't want you know, to run super singles, or if you're doing some type of heavy haul, you don't want to run super singles. But as far as an over-the-road application, or maybe some lightweight flatbed applications, I would say super singles all the way. Do the math. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own math, and you'll see that the tires will actually pay for themselves over the lifetime of the tire. And plus, these tires here, technically, they can be retreaded. I mean, these things can actually last a lot longer than 4 years if you take care of them, and if the truck is in excellent operating condition. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But I love my super singles. If I was to change and go a little bit more heavy haul, yeah, I'd probably switch over to duals, but I don't see myself doing that anytime soon. So I'm gonna keep enjoying having more of that money in my pocket. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about super singles. And yes, I've heard it all, stupid singles, all that good stuff. I've heard it all. So you're not really gonna tell me anything new. But let me know what you think about the differences, and do the math and see if that makes good business sense. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring the notification bell so you know when my next video is coming out. And remember, stay driven. So as you can see right here, it says that the max load is 10,200 pounds at 120 PSI cold. It's a Michelin X1 line Energy D's.